Whatcass, welcome back to my channel, whatcassread. Today, I'm doing an intro. That's what this video is. I'm doing an intro because I just finished reading the Throne of Glass series. So I needed a new something to vlog, and I'm going to be taking a break from Sarah J. Maas for just a little bit because I read 10 of her books in a row. And there are some things that I really want to read before the end of the year. So one author that I always make a point of reading every year that I haven't yet read this year is Stephen King. I haven't read any of my Stephen King books this year, so it's almost December. I don't know when this video is going to go up. It might even be December when this video goes up. I need to get on that, and I need to read my Stephen King books. So for this vlog, I thought it would be cool, because I have them both on my shelves, to read two different Stephen King books. So I thought it would be cool to read his first novel and then his latest novel. So not the most recent short story collection, but he published Holly last year, and this is his latest novel. In my most anticipated releases for 2025, I don't know what order videos are going up in, but the newest book that he'll be coming out with, I think like mid-year next year, is going to be the fourth book, like with Holly. So she's a character that's very near and dear to me, and I want to catch up on her story before picking up the new one. Now, I thought it would be fun. I've never read either of these. I thought it would be fun to read the first and the last novels that he came out with. I've read lots of stuff in between, but it would be cool to see like the writing differences between the two. And so I wanted to vlog that. Now, I will say that I'm very, very biased. I have a deep connection with Holly as a character. I've loved her from the moment that I met her in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, the Bill Hodges trilogy, and I've purposefully sought out other things that she's been in. So when I found out that she was in The Outsider, I read that one, and then I picked up this book when it was like brand new. So I don't know if it'll be like fair to compare the two in terms of my enjoyment level, because I say this now, but Stephen King does always manage to surprise me. Like, he surprised the hell out of me with Dolores Claiborne and how much I loved that one. So he might surprise the hell out of me with Carrie. So I guess preemptively, my thoughts going into this vlog are that I'm going to love Holly more. I hope I love Holly. I really hope I do. Now I'm nervous. Okay, so that's what we're doing for this vlog today, or however long it takes me to finish reading these two books. It's currently Thanksgiving Day as I'm filming, and I feel like since I have a holiday weekend, I could easily smash two of these two books over the holiday weekend, right? All right, let's get to it. So, update, because I have finished Carrie. I read this very quickly because I actually listened to it on audiobook. So you saw a clip of me. I was doing some work getting prepared for Black Friday, Small Business Saturday for my business. And I had so much work to do that I was like, you know what? This audiobook is short enough. 2 times speed. Here we go. Let's have a listen. So first of all, the audiobook was great. So since this is the 50th anniversary of Carrie, which is wild to think about, that our boy Stephen is still writing and publishing books after 50 years. But it was the 50th anniversary of Carrie release. So I actually had Margaret Atwood do a foreword to the book. And then Stephen also came in and had a note from the author before the audiobook started. So I thought that was, I just really liked it. I liked what Margaret had to say. She kind of highlighted some various themes and some various from different viewpoints of fans of Stephen's throughout the years. Like some people she highlighted were people who read Carrie when it first came out and they were teenagers. And then she highlighted a young woman who was like 21 and just reading Stephen King for the first time. So it was really a cool introduction. So if you've not listened to Carrie as an audiobook and are willing to give this one a try, I recommend it. It was really good. Now, my thoughts on Carrie. Wow. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I was telling my husband this earlier that I feel like this happens so many times with Stephen King's books. I never really go into a Stephen King novel knowing exactly what I'm in for. That's just, I guess, the strategy that I've used when reading his books. So, like, in pop culture, I knew that Carrie, you know, she goes crazy after the prom because of all the pig's blood and that she had telekinetic powers. Like, that's literally all I knew about Carrie. And I sold myself short, and it's happened time and time again. I did that with Dolores Claiborne. I did it with It, where these books just like blew me out of the water with how good they are. And I should just know better that pop culture sells the story so short of what it's actually about. So one of the big things that they talk about for Carrie is, you know, her upbringing, and she has like a super religious mother, and then the bullying that Carrie receives. And I was reminded so much, of various religious cults that I've been watching documentaries and reading some books on it. So this one is Uncultured, a memoir by Daniela Mestiniak-Young. And I follow her on social media. I ordered her book directly from her website because I wanted a signed copy. But I've actually been reading this in the background of the vlogs. Like, so I started, I'm not very far. I think I'm on like chapter 5 of Uncultured. So I started this right before I started Carrie. And Daniela, she was born into a cult, one of the worst religious cults that ever existed and still exists to this day, the Children of God cult. And I was just thinking about how Carrie's life, even though it was like very singular, like it was just her mother raising her with these extreme religious ideals, but the sorts of religious manipulation that her mother held over her and the kind of power that she held over Carrie throughout her entire life, I was very, very like shocked at some of the parallels that I was seeing between an actual cult survivor and Carrie. Okay, so that was an interesting point. The other thing that struck me was just, I didn't know that Carrie was going to be such a sad book, because like I said, pop culture has kind of morphed it into just the one scene of Carrie covered in blood at the prom. And even this cover of this book, this is the hotter paperback edition. You've got the fire and you've got Carrie with the crown. That's like literally all you're told. And of course the story is built and builds you up to the moment at the prom. But everything that came after that moment, I was so sad. My heart broke for Carrie. I was really upset for her. I just felt so many things for her throughout this whole book, which I think is just a testament to how quickly Stephen King can like build up a number of characters and make you feel so many feelings for them and care so many things about what they have going on. For those who don't know, the story is told, which I really liked, which it was told in these like little choppy bits, where it was like flash forward to a researcher researching the, events of what happened to Carrie and what happened to this town. And they kind of took like a scientific approach to telekinesis and how they think that it manifested itself in Carrie. And then you've got excerpts from someone who was actually there in a central part of Carrie's story. And then you go back to like the Carrie narrative in like present day Carrie instead of those future books and research articles. You know the outcome as the story is marching toward the big to-do at the prom. And you're just built with this sense of dread and foreboding, and then Carrie's reaction to it all, I just was so sad. I didn't expect to be feeling like that. And I'm beginning to realize that I think Stephen King's horror, if they're like, okay, so with the caveat, asterisk me saying these things, I still haven't read some of his like super dark ones, like The Shining. I'm really scared to read The Shining. But I've read it. I've just kind of noticed that the types of books that he sets out to be as horror and less paranormal, less suspenseful, the real horror is never like the character that is being portrayed by popular media. So like Carrie in the bloodbath at prom, she's being painted in social media, or not social media, but just like popular culture as the problem, as the villain. She was absolutely not. Just the destruction that she wreaks after the bloodbath. It's all just her internal pain manifested, and it's like she has no way to shut it off. She's set out to destroy, and if she destroys herself in the process, oh well. This skyrocketed to one of my favorites. As I'm talking about it, should I bump it up to a 5? I don't know. If I'm still thinking about it like this and feeling these feels in a couple of days, I might update my rating to a 5. So that's my update. I really, really, really love this story. All right, so just time for an update. I am currently reading Holly. I started it on audiobook, and I'm at page 103. So I guess my initial thoughts, let's see. We just got the revelation of what like our evil, sinister couple is doing to their victims. And I had that suspicion all along. And it totally verified what I was thinking. Like, my guess was absolutely correct. Was I expecting to get that twist so early? No, but I'm glad we did. I think this is like the perfect case for Holly. I am seeing that he's doing the jumping back and forth thing. So like having just come fresh off of reading Carrie and reflecting back on Stephen King's like books that I have read, that is a very, very common thing for him to do. Like, we have time jumps, we have knowledge ahead of time, we have knowledge past and present where, people are trying to catch up to the current mystery. So in 50 years, he's still doing that same exact kind of tactic, and it works. It honestly works. And I remember, now I'm thinking along some of the other ones that I've read. I remember in The Institute, there was like a whole side plot. I was like, how is he going to weave this together? So eventually, like, we're going to see all of our storylines come together, because that seems to be what works for him. And I don't mind it. Yeah, he did that in Billy Summers. What else did he do that in? He did that in The Outsider. Dolores Claiborne. Obviously, that one was completely told by like narration to a police station. And you had scenes back and forth. Yeah, it's a very common thing for him to do. I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. Anyways, so I'm gonna continue reading on this. I'll see if I like it in physical form, but if not, then I'll just work on some crochet and listen to it on audiobook and finish it.
Looks like we'll focus because it is with Paranormal, and the other one's just a dark romance. So I'm going to cut to the lovely Liv from Liv's Library, who recommended this book. But that is correct. I finally read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I also didn't realize how long this was because the audiobook is 13 hours. What is up with all these books?
That's some book mail. Okay, pardon my messy office. This is just one part of my Black Friday book haul. But basically, like my Black Friday book haul, I was trying to purchase books of series that I had like maybe one or two of and trying to just like round them out. So I've had books 1 and 2 of the Lycanius trilogy for years and I haven't read them yet. And so I just added book number 3. That's what this is. Okay, and then I got, well, not just me, but we put our tree up this weekend. It turns out my son is a very discerning tree decorator. He was very excited about it. But like I put all the heirloom and glass ornaments away. There are, I tried to put the least amount of breakables up. A really rainy day out and I'm 60% of the way through Holly and my son is a little stir crazy because it's raining. He hasn't gotten a chance to go outside, so I'm gonna use this as motivation and some time to just finish. Okay, so I should have been able to finish this in a day. I did get a good chunk of it done. I got like 2/3 of it done. I just need to be done. The motivation hasn't been there to pick it up. And since it's rainy, we're just going to do it. We're going to do it. I guess the only update I have to say before I begin in the final act is why Barbara? Why is it always Barbara? I'm nervous. Okay, I finally finished Holly. I kind of went back and forth between physical and audio. And I tend to do that a lot with my Stephen King books. I really do like the audiobook listening. This one was fun. And Stephen usually has like an author's note, and so it was fun that he left the author's note for the end of this book instead of at the beginning. There was like a thought that I was having like throughout the reading experience. And it turns out the conclusion that I came to at the end was exactly Stephen's reasoning for doing it. And I was like, well, I feel like I'm good. I feel like I've figured this guy out. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I did love this. I really did love this. Okay, sorry, I had to get some water. I like the way that Carrie made me feel after finishing it. Just like, oh, the devastation that I felt for Carrie. And like the path of destruction that she was led down. Like she was led down that path. I don't think any of it was Carrie's fault. Whereas this one, man, if this was the only straight up Holly Gibney book that we ever got, I would be very satisfied with this one. I'll be very satisfied with how it ended. Like this ending, and this ending gave me like really warm, fuzzy feels, pretty much the same way, not as heartbroken as I was at the end of the Bill Hodges trilogy, but this also left me feeling very like warm and fuzzy inside. And if I didn't know that he was coming out with another book next year with Holly in it, I would have been satisfied being like, if that's my only Holly novel, I'm good. Wow. I was so nervous for Barbara. I'm really glad that was unwarranted. But I kept, you know that movie, 127 Hours with Aaron Ralston, the rock climber? If you don't know about it, it's a true story. But he got lost in a canyon by himself, and he didn't tell anyone where he was. And that's literally the feeling that I had the whole time reading this when I was thinking about Holly. Like, she is getting herself lost in a canyon and nobody knows where she is right now. I was very, very nervous. But, this one was good. This one was really good. I liked Carrie more, which is interesting. I was trying to think of some things back and forth about, like, have I noticed anything between the 50-year gap of when these books were published? I mean, this is a entirely different animal than Carrie. I think that Stephen, even though, hear me out, I've literally never read a short story collection of his. I actually have If It Bleeds on its way to me right now, so that way I can read the Holly Gibney short story in there. But from my experience of reading his shorter books versus some of his longer ones, like Carrie was half the amount of pages as Holly. I think he excels in that short format. As much as I loved it, it was long. It was very long. And I haven't even approached The Stand or 11/22/63 or Under the Dome simply because of intimidation of the length. But I know he can do it, and I don't mind long books. That's the bulk of the books that I read are quite long. But I think, man, he knows how to do a short, concise story to rip out your feelings. And that's what he did with Carrie. I also think, like, the way he made me feel about Carrie, and again, when I brought up that cult book that I am still reading, I'm not finished with it yet, kind of pick it up and put it down. It could be that my enjoyment level of Carrie is through that lens of, like, me really being interested in learning more about coercive control and high control groups and high control religious groups, and seeing those and identifying that within her mom. It could be that, but I don't think that really is the case. I really do think it is, like, the way that I felt about Carrie at the end of that book just ripped my guts out. Whereas this, I've had 5 books now to love and adore Holly. So it's just very different. I think Stephen is really good and clear about writing his villains. Almost a little too cartoony. Not quite cartoony, but they're almost there. Like, they're so ridiculous. Like, the villains in here were so bigoted that, you know, I chuckled because of how outrageous their viewpoints are. But we know people like that exist. And Stephen just happens to like to write about them. So that's kind of what I was noticing between Carrie and between Holly, is the villains, when they want to exact their will, they do so in like the most extreme ways, which, you know, makes a good story, but they're just like slightly on the edge of cartoony. It's also fresh. Sorry, Luna. Oh my gosh, did you hear her? She's mad at me for disrupting her sleep, apparently. Yeah, okay, that's what I want to say for non-spoilery thoughts. If you don't want to hear the main spoiler of Holly, then now's your time to end the vlog. I'm going to be done after this. So thank you so much for joining me. But if you want to talk spoilers, this is your last chance to click out of the video. Okay, so I guessed that our elder couple were cannibals pretty close to the beginning. And then it unfolds pretty quickly where we find out about it. Now, I read, gosh, what is it? Tender is the Flesh. I can't remember the name of the author. It's an Argentinian author. I had to DNF Tender is the Flesh, which is literally a book about cannibalism, like full-blown horror dystopian world of cannibalism. I had to DNF it because it like literally made me sick to my stomach. And I was like, this is my line. This is my line with horror. I know that I can't read about cannibalism. And then here we've got cannibal old people in Holly. Yeah, there were some parts where I was like, oof, it's still my line. It's still my line that I don't want to cross. Just like when we are inside their mind frame, turns out that it still holds up, that is my line where me and horror, I can't read horror novels like that. Maybe not in detail. Maybe if I'm never in the mind frame of a cannibal ever again, I would be okay with that. But this was so entertaining, and again, like I had mentioned earlier, that it was just so comically cartoonish that it helped. Like I could read it, versus the Tender is the Flesh, where it was not comical. It was not ironic. It was very much the norm. It was a good book, but I couldn't get through it. I guess, is it a horror trope? I don't read that many horror novels, but there's just been so many horror novels that I've been interested in lately that I really hope it's not going to become a common trope that I have to avoid. So if it is, please let me know now. But yeah, that was pretty much the only spoiler that I had to talk about, where there were certain scenes where just when we're in their mind frame, when they're talking about it as normally as they are, I'm out. I'm out. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Only 2 books for this vlog, but I thought it would be fun, like I said, to just take a look at the 50-year gap between 2 of Stephen King's novels. And it was really fun and enlightening for me too, and just kind of like a fun exercise, just to kind of like really dive deep on an author that I admire and I really like so much. So I have If It Bleeds like literally coming in the mail. I ordered it on Black Friday, so I'm gonna read that short story ASAP. Yes, you can read Holly without reading the short story. And you can honestly read Holly without any knowledge of Bill Hodges. Your enjoyment is going to be so much more if you've picked up those books. So I'm gonna catch up on that short story and read it ASAP. and it'll be my very first Stephen King short story collection that I read. And then I think before I jump back into Sarah J. Maas, I think I have a plan maybe for the rest of December. I kind of want to get caught up on like some Kindle Unlimited books that I have and just kind of like clear out the Kindle Unlimited TBR, and then end the year with A Court of Frost and Starlight and A Court of Silver Flames. So if you're interested in that, I hope you'll stay tuned, because I'm definitely going to vlog it all. I'll vlog like a specific Kindle vlog. I think that'll be the next one. And then I'll vlog the Sarah J. Maas when I pick back up on those books. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see, like, comment, subscribe, all the fun social media engagement things listed down below. My small business links are listed down below. And you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.